Hey people, Chev here, and welcome back to the Every Gen Hardcore Nuzlocke Gauntlet. In the last episode, we got our starter, defeated our rival, and yeah, that's about it. Nothing else really happened. Well anyways, in today's episode, we're going to be jumping into the real meat and potatoes of Gen 2, so let's not delay any further and get right into the action. After snitching to the cops, we set out on our journey, but before we do, one of Elm's aides stops us and gives us a fat stack of Pokeballs to christen our journey. With that, our Nuzlocke has now officially begun. Or at least it would have if we weren't stopped on Route 29 by this dude asking us if we know how to catch Pokemon. Yeah dog, I think we know what we're doing here at this point. After asking him to not mansplain us, we go for our first official encounter of Gen 2. After all of this time, after going back through Gen 1 all over again, I'm so excited to see what new Pokemon we're gonna encounter. It's a Rattata. Where have I seen that before? We successfully bag it and name it Ratman. After trekking our way through Route 29, we stock up on items in Cherry Grove City to get ready for Route 30. Now would be a good time to go over a new and very important mechanic in Gen 2, the day-night cycle. Remember how we had to set the time in the beginning of the game? We did that because the game actually keeps track of real-world time. If you set the game's clock to match your own, its time will always be the same as your real-life time. And when it's day or night in real time for you, it will be day or night in the game as well. This has real consequences for your game, as routes will have different encounters depending on what time it is. There's other mechanics that come into play with the in-game time, and we'll get into that later. But if you weren't around when these games first came out, this was literally the coolest shit ever. It made Gen 2 feel just so incredibly immersive and real, like you're curled up in your bed at night, and then you open up your Game Boy and it's night in the game, and different Pokemon when you do it. Okay, I have to stop myself, because if I go on this tangent, I'm never gonna get off it, and we have a ton of content to get through. So let's just go right back into Gen 2. So we go for our nighttime Route 30 encounter and get a Spinarak. Well, this is something different for once, but it's not my most ideal encounter here. I name it Scree after the sound it makes. We then have our first official trainer battle against youngster Joey, the true rival of this game, and someone I have a personal grudge against. Post-production Chev, play the clip from the old lore vault.
You know what? You know what, Joey? There's more to Pokemon than leaving a hot load in my mom, okay? It's about friendship.
He is in possession of a mighty top percentage Rattata, but it's no match for our Scree, who takes it down in a full-blown 1v1. Well, after that, we have a couple more trainers that we have to fight, but they're not as consequential as the mighty youngster Joey. So I think now is probably a good time to talk about something else that is very important in the early game of Gen 2, and that's the level caps. You see, the level caps in Gen 2 are pretty fucked. We'll talk more about this topic later, but for now, let's just talk about what we're dealing with for the first gym. In Gen 1, our level cap for the first gym was 14, but in Gen 2, it's 9. For a quick reference, our starter is currently level 7, and we are still on the first route. That is an incredibly tight window for us to navigate. This means I have to rely on my low-level newer Pokemon like Ratman and Scree to get me through these early fights, so that way I can spread out the EXP and not accidentally overlevel Hater Gator. This can be risky, as these early level fights can be very RNG heavy, since there isn't a lot of decision making involved with them, and I would really not want to lose any of my early encounters to random bullshit. However, this doesn't end up happening, and we're able to progress through Route 30 up to Dark Cave, where we're able to get another encounter. On our way up, our mom calls us and guilt trips us into sending her money. She promises us she's just doing it to help teach us how to save money and won't spend any, but I don't know if I truly believe her. Well anyways, there's quite a few interesting encounters we could obtain in Dark Cave. You have a Zubat, who has a new evolution in this generation that makes it way more palatable as an encounter, Geodude, who might be one of the best early game encounters possible in this gen, Dunsparce, who'd be very funny to get, and Teddiursa, who is a Pokemon. Lots of really interesting possibilities here, so let's go inside and see what we get. We take a brief second to manifest our encounter, and ooh baby, we have been blessed with a Geodude. I name it the Dude and excitedly add it to my team. It's hard to put into words this early in the run just how good this Pokemon is in Gen 2, but I'll just let the Dude speak for himself. Oh wait, it's herself. Well, you know what? It's 2025. Girls can be dudes too. Oh, she even came with an item. An Everstone? Wait, she's a trade evolution. That's just fucking devious. After getting such an amazing encounter, we arrive in Violet City, but I immediately head on over to Route 36 because we have another encounter opportunity here. After scouting around for a little bit, we end up encountering Bellsprout. Okay, I guess I can't complain too much. Bellsprout is actually not a bad encounter. I end up naming him Sprout and slot him into our team. We try to detour down to Route 32, but some dude just straight up won't let us through. So we stop by this little side area called the Ruins of Al. There's literally nothing of importance here whatsoever. Nope. Nothing at all. So we just leave it behind and head over to Sprout Tower, which is this big old tower that apparently sways back and forth. That doesn't seem very structurally sound at all. What the fuck? Well, we go up to the second floor and we have our first instant of what is known as a spinner, or a trainer who spins around haphazardly trying to make eye contact with you to challenge you. That's right. They spin now. They spin now? They spin now. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm fucking done with that joke. I'm not gonna do it again, I promise. Scree is an absolute powerhouse here. Him being bug and poison type makes him ×4 resistant to grass type moves. And while he doesn't do a whole lot of damage back to the Bellsprouts that these monks have, it doesn't really matter. He still easily outdamages them. While climbing the tower, we end up getting a ghastly encounter. I mean, we encounter the Pokemon Ghastly. You know what I'm saying here. We end up catching him and naming him Granger, because he looks like he can really get it done. I mean, it's actually just because it vaguely sounds like Gengar and I wasn't feeling super creative. I'm just gonna rip off a brand name, I guess. After catching Granger and battling more old guys, Scree ends up hitting the level cap of 9. If he gets one more level, I will have to box him until we beat the next gym leader, and there are still quite a few trainers for us to battle. So I pull him off the lead position to conserve him for later and start using some of my other lads. I try to use Ratman, but he ends up not being able to win the 1v1 against a Bellsprout that he's twice the level of? What the fuck? And to make things even more embarrassing, Granger ends up having issues with a Bellsprout, who I then try to relieve with Ratman, who then almost dies to 2 Vine Whips. I mean, come on, Ratman. Are you even trying? You're killing me here. Well, we're able to clear through the rest of the... Oh, wait a minute. I've been calling them monks this whole time, but they're actually sages. Oops, my bad. Granger is still struggling to do anything against them here, completely failing to be the one that gets it done. But after a while, we do clear out all of the sages before heading into the main room where we find Subclub just beating the shit out of this old guy. Jesus, man. He then walks up and starts talking a whole lot of shit. Like, damn, man, he makes Blue look like a solid dude. After acting like a fucking asshole to us, he then pulls out his rope and climbs away. He's like Slipknot from Suicide Squad. He can climb anything. We then go to fight the main sage guy. We lead with our boy Scree, who is able to bulldoze his way through the first fight until his Hoo-Hoo comes out. Wait a minute, this Hoo-Hoo is literally a higher level than Faulkner's level cap? Why? I keep in Scree and try to get off a poison on the Hoo-Hoo. I play a pretty dangerous game, letting Scree drop down into the red from a critical hit, but he's able to get off the poison at the perfect time, letting me switch into the dude, who is able to body the bird from there. With that, the sage guy tells us we are very good and kind, or whatever, and then gives us the flash HM, which, like, man, I'm gonna be real with you, I am never gonna use this dumbass fucking HM ever. As a result of that fight, Scree does end up over leveling the next gym leader, so he will have to be boxed until we are able to beat Faulkner. Also, just for a quick rule clarification, if a Pokemon over levels in the middle of a battle, you can still use it for the remainder of that battle, but once the battle is done, the Pokemon has to be boxed. But Scree getting boxed isn't that big of a deal because he won't be very useful into the first gym. Faulkner is a flying type gym leader. He sports a Pidgey and a Pidgeotto, which doesn't seem like the most intimidating thing in the world, but a Pidgeotto at level 9 actually has a pretty decent base stat total, and on top of that, for some reason, his signature move is Mud Slap, a ground type move. This move does next to no damage, but it does lower your accuracy, which if you're unlucky enough can cause you some serious headaches in this fight if you keep rolling misses over and over again. Hi, post-production Chev here, popping in to give you a special little pasta a la Gen 2, I guess. So it turns out Mud Slap actually has a 0.4% chance of not lowering accuracy for some reason. I I don't know why or what's going on with this, but anyways, back to the episode. So while on paper, this might look like an easy fight, I still take a moment to plan for it just in case I end up getting some awful RNG. My main plan is going to be to lead with Hater Gator on the Pidgey to start a rage combo and hope that it doesn't use too many mud slaps to lower my accuracy. That way, when Pidgeotto comes in, Hater Gator should already be sufficiently stacked up to take it out. If that goes wrong, I can always pivot into the dude to finish it off. We head into the gym and make quick work of the trainers. Their burbs don't have anything that can deal with the dude's rock solid exterior. After beating both of them and getting our team sufficiently leveled, I equip my friends with some berries to give them a little mid-fight snack if they need it, and then go to challenge Faulkner. I lead the fight the way I discussed earlier, with Hater Gator setting up a rage combo. Luckily for us, Faulkner's Pidgey never ends up using Mudslap and instead tackles us, which only fuels Hater Gator's anger issues.
I have this thing, like people know I have this thing. I have to stay calm, okay? So.
Okay.
After Hater Gator takes out the Pidgey, he is at 2 stacks of rage, and he also ends up leveling up to 10. This puts us in an amazing position for the incoming Pidgeotto, who also doesn't use Mudslap, and we are able to 2-shot it with no issue at all. Damn, that went exactly as I hoped it would. Badge 1 secured, along with the TM for Mudslap. After leaving the gym, we get a call from Professor Elm saying that one of his aides is at the Pokemon Center with a delicious egg for us.
I don't really want this.
God, what is it with you people and your fucking eggs? I throw it in the PC and continue on with my journey. We head on down to Route 32, where there are many Pokemon I could potentially get, but there's one in particular that I really want. Can you guess which one it is?
Shit, it's not a whoop!
After a couple of Dupes Claws Pokemon, I end up running into a... Hoot. You can just hear the enthusiasm in my voice, can't you? I'm able to scoop him up and I name him... God damn it. Knocked Loose. Arf, arf, more like hoot, hoot, After catching Knocked Loose, it's time for us to actually get through this route. I taught the dude Mudslap with the TM we just got, since she would be the one best suited for it, and she uses it pretty effectively too. Sprue also gets the chance to really show his stuff against the many fishermen that are on this route, just cutting through them left and right with Vine Whips. He ends up leveling up and learning Rap, but don't get too excited because Rap fucking sucks now. This kid says he's gonna fight us with a Pokemon that he just caught in the grass. Wow, I wonder what it is. Fuck you. While continuing through the route, we get stopped by some shady guy who offers to sell us a Slowpoke tail. Whoa, that's a lot of damn money right there. I don't have that kind of cash. Well, not to worry, because I can pay for black market Pokemon body parts with 4 interest-free payments thanks to the sponsor of this video, Klarna.
Legal disclaimer, not actually sponsored by Klarna.
Well, RFK Jr. over here ends up being upset that we can't afford his exotic meats, and we head on over to this very conveniently placed Pokemon Center before heading into Union Cave. Our encounter actually ends up being an Onix, which is actually a pretty interesting encounter. Onix got a pretty significant buff in Gen 2 in the form of a new evolution, Steelix. It evolves in Steelix by trading it while holding the item Metal Coat. In my Nuzlocke rules, I'm allowing myself to PK Hex trade evolutions, but in the cases of Pokemon requiring an item for the trade evolution, I won't be able to evolve them until that item is available. So when is the Metal Coat available in Gen 2? The post-game. That won't be the last time you're gonna hear that. Well, no Steelix for me then, I guess. While fighting these trainers, I end up having a little bit of a PTSD flashback. The convenient Pokemon Center, the cave, the hikers with Geodudes, using a Bellsprout with Vine Whip to clear them out. Oh man, I should see a therapist about this. Luckily, finding a therapist is very easy thanks to the sponsor of this video, BetterHelp.
Legal disclaimer, not actually sponsored by BetterHelp.
Hi, I'm Saul Goodman.
Who am I kidding? Union Cave is nothing like Rock Tunnel. We breeze right through while doing a little collectathon of items, including a Swift TM. That could potentially be handy later. After fighting just a handful of other trainers, we are able to make it out the other side, and I can finally relax some of that tension in my shoulders. It's now time for us to go for our Route 33 encounter. After being swarmed by rats, we get a Zubat, who I name Jackdaw Bat. I don't even know if anyone knows the joke I'm going for on this one anymore. Well, anyways, we continue on the route and we spot an individual who looks oddly familiar. Not only that, but there's another guy who looks exactly like him posted outside the gym. We go to pick this berry tree that has a white apricot in it and
There's too much fucking shit on me, I can't.
well, we sell off a bunch of our junk to clear out our pack before heading over to talk to Kurt, who apparently knows a thing or two about balls. However, he ends up explaining to us that Team Rocket is in town and they're up to no good? Wait, that's who those guys are? But But I thought we beat them in the last game. Kurt gets very emotionally worked up talking about Team Rocket and storms out of his shop.
Like, I did not think he was gonna do that. That scared me. That actually scared me a little bit.
We eventually catch up to him and find that he launched himself right into the cave and paralyzed himself from the waist down.
The fuck is wrong with you?
So now it's all up to us to take on Team Rocket. Little does he know, we have some experience taking on these goons already. The dude and Hatergator raffle stomp them with absolutely no regard for the sanctity of life. Sanctity. Titty. Stop taking tails. Yeah, you leave him the fuck alone. The cave has several amputee slowpoke just sitting there. They don't really seem to mind all that much, honestly. We actually also end up encountering a slowpoke while we're down here, and I end up catching it. We name him Bruh. We go to fight the last rocket in the cave, who actually has a decently high level coughing. But we got the dude, so it's barely even a fair fight. Kurt makes a miraculous recovery and takes us back to his shop, where he says he'll convert our apricorns into balls. I go and give him the white apricorn from out back, and he says to come back for it later and he'll have it ready. I never come back for it. It's now time for us to take on the next gym. We walk in to encounter this pair of twins, but unfortunately for them, they're a generation too early, and double battles aren't a thing yet. The second gym is a bug type gym, and we have quite a few Pokemon on our team who have a more than favorable matchup into bug types, so clearing out all the trainers ends up not taking much effort at all. So while we're doing that, let's talk about Bugsy. His team is very weird, as you have to fight through Kakuna and Metapod, which don't really do much at all, only to then have to face a goddamn Scyther. Scyther can be pretty intimidating, but I think we can take advantage of the fact that his first two Pokemon don't have much going for them to bring down his Scyther. By the way, if you're playing the remakes, this fight is like 10 times harder, so good luck. Well, with all the trainers out of the way, it's time to fight everyone's favorite gender androgynous gym leader, Bugsy. Well, I guess I shouldn't say everyone's favorite since Grusha is a thing now. We lead with Hatergator, who does what he does best and sets up a rage combo. Metapod plays right into our hands and hits us with several tackles, giving us many Angie stacks. So much so that we end up being able to two-shot the incoming Kakuna after it misses its string shot. All that's left is the Scyther. Scyther ends up missing Fury Cutter on turn 1, and it's pretty clear at this point that the battle is over. After a few more hits of rage, Hatergator is able to close out the fight, and the second badge is now in our possession. That's 2 for 2 sweeps on Hatergator. We've now taken care of everything we need to do in Azalea Town, so let's continue on our way here. Oh, well, would y'all look who it is? Speaking of gender androgynous, Sub Club wants to take another shot at us, but we were expecting him. I lead with Granger into his much lower level Ghastly. Granger picks him apart with no trouble at all. Next in is Zubat, but the dude was ready and waiting for him as well. After getting flinched and dodging a confusion, he swats away the bat with a quick rock throw before his starter Bayleaf comes out. But luckily for us, we have a secret weapon in our back pocket to deal with it. Scream! Scree completely walls off Bailey's only main offensive move and starts to slowly chisel it down with Poison Sting. I'm not getting super lucky with the poison procs, but I'm also not that worried about it. We eventually get it, but not before Bayleaf gets a couple of crits, bringing us down pretty low, but I guess Bayleaf got bored because it used Reflect on its very last turn before it died. Must have just died from embarrassment from losing to a Spinarak in a 1v1. Sub Club still finds a way to act smug towards us and gives us a bunch of Johns about how we only won because his Pokemon suck ass. Then he declares how much he hates the weak before scampering off in defeat. Okay there, bucko. With Sub Club out of the way, we can now enter the Ilex Forest. However, after looking at the encounter table, I decide to go back and buy a bunch of repels, so that way I can delay my encounter in this area. I'll explain why in just a little bit, but first we have to chase down this kid's Farfetch before he gets in big trouble with his dad or whatever. Come here! What a fucking idiot. We are rewarded with the cut HM after delivering the government drone back to its engineers and continue on through the Ilex Forest. We sniff around for some hidden items before finding this dude who is just slamming his head into trees over and over again, I guess? He ends up giving us the TM for Headbutt, which is actually a great move to have. Here, allow me to explain. On its own, Headbutt is a normal type offensive move that does decent damage and also has a chance to flinch. On its own, it's a pretty good move, but on top of that, it also has an overworld mechanic. You see these small trees that look like this? and you can tell by the way it is. If one of your Pokemon knows Headbutt, you can have them hit the trees to trigger Pokemon encounters. The trees have unique encounter tables with Pokemon that can only be found by headbutting, and there's actually some pretty decent encounters on them. But there's one encounter that I'm especially hungry for, and that's Heracross. Heracross is a bug and fighting type Pokemon that is quite possibly one of the best new Pokemon introduced in this generation. It hits hard, has decent bulk, and learns some decent moves too. The problem here is that Heracross is a pretty tricky Pokemon to get. You see, there's actually two different types of trees, moderate encounter and high encounter trees. They have two separate encounter tables, and these tables can vary route to route. The high encounter trees will have a much greater chance of triggering an encounter when you hit them than the moderate encounter ones, but also the high encounter ones in certain routes are the only places where it's possible for you to get a Heracross. So how do you know which trees are moderate and which are high encounter? Unfortunately, you can't just tell by the way they are, and you have to hit them to find out. In a Nuzlocke, this means you just sort of have to guess, as you only get one unique encounter per route. But we can try to increase our odds by trying multiple routes and getting different encounters checked off the list, and then use Dupe's Claws to try to fish for a Heracross. This is called encounter routing, where you strategically plan your encounters in earlier routes to try to guarantee good ones later. So I begin by headbutting trees in Ilex Forest. There isn't a chance for a Heracross here, but I could potentially get something better than what's on the normal encounter table. This first tree immediately gives me a Hoot Hoot, which thankfully we already have. So I go to try another tree and unfortunately get a Weedle. Not exactly what I was looking for, but it does check off a line of Pokemon from the encounter table, which isn't all that bad either. We make it to the end of the forest and then arrive at Route 34, where we have some more headbutt opportunities. But first we have to fight through some trainers. As we're clearing out the trainers, Hater Gator hits level 18 and ends up evolving into his next form, Croconaw. We pass by the daycare, which you can get an egg from that has some potentially solid Pokemon inside of it, but that would count as my encounter, and I want to go for the headbutt. Can you tell I'm kind of tunneling here? Right next to the daycare, I end up breaking my one rule, and I end up talking to a cop. If you talk to cops at night, they try to fight you, just like real life. I think I was playing on autopilot at this point because during the fight, the officer's Growlithe ends up roaring out Granger, and I keep him in thinking he'll be fine here, only for the Growlithe to hit a critical hit bite on Granger, killing him in a single hit. God, what a dumb mistake. R.I.P. Granger, another senseless victim of police brutality.
Hey now, did you hear the news? Another friend, cops causes to lose.
Well, after that horrific tragedy, let's try our luck headbutting a tree for our encounter. I mean, we do have a spot in our team we need to fill now. We slam Ratman into the tree over and over, getting dupe encounter after dupe encounter, until eventually a pile of eggs falls from it. We're able to secure them with ease, and we name him Expensive. He will surely make a fine member of our team after losing Granger. After that excellent encounter, or should I say, excellent, I decide that it's time to try our luck at the God encounter. I head back to Azalea Town, which has multiple trees for us to headbutt, and these trees have a chance to give us the sought-after Heracross. I shall now hand the reins over to Live Chev as he attempts to get our encounter. Good luck, Live Chev.
I think this is the tree I have to do. Okay, we got an encounter. Oh my god. Please be a Heracross. It's the least likely encounter! Oh my god. Come on, man. Fuck you. Fuck you. What level would it have been? Level 10? You're whatever. You're fucking worthless.
So we didn't get the Heracross, and on top of that, I also didn't end up getting the Ekans either because I was tilting. The Ekans was actually not worthless, as bagging one would have increased our odds down the road of getting a Heracross later in the game. So not only do I not have a Heracross, I am now just as not likely to get one later. Oops. However, it turns out that wasn't my only mistake. There's actually a very easy way to cross off one of the Pokemon on this encounter table, Spearow, and I didn't find out about it until after I went for the encounter. You see, if you head up into Goldenrod City, then go north to the Route 35 entrance, there is a guy there who will straight up just give you a Spearow, asking you to deliver it and the mail that came with it to some other guy. I have no plans to do that, but I will happily take the Spearow. I have grown quite fond of this Pokemon as of late. Also, for some reason, the nickname it comes with is Kenya. I have no idea why. My curiosity gets the better of me, and I commit a felony by opening someone else's mail and
What the fuck?
Wow, That sure is important. But this is great. Not only do we have a decent flying type now, but we also crossed off a very common headbutt encounter. By the way, I am counting this as my Route 35 encounter, not my Goldenrod encounter. I'm missing out on some pretty good encounters by doing this. Oh, and by the way, I guess this means we're in Goldenrod City now, and it's daytime. Why does Goldenrod have the Breaking Bad Mexico filter on during the day? Well, since we're here, let's go check out the department store. I think this is the earliest a Pokemon game has ever had one of these mega marts in them. It's kind of awesome to have access to so many items this early in the game, and some of those items that I'm interested in are TMs. The Goldenrod department store gives you access to all of the elemental punch TMs, which are very handy at this point in the game. I go up to buy the Ice Punch TM for Hatergator, but oh, I have no monies. Well, time to procure some funds the old-fashioned way, through underground animal fighting. We go into the tunnels of Goldenrod to fight some trainers for extra spending cash, which gives us the opportunity for our new friends to show their stuff. We already know what Kenya is capable of. She has no issues whatsoever. And then Expensive gets his debut fight, and it truly ends up being a battle for the ages. Actually, I just stalled the whole time. You better get used to seeing Expensive using Leech Seed and Reflect, because that's basically gonna be his signature move from now on. Well, after nabbing some extra funds from some morally dubious activities, we can now afford to pick up the Ice Punch TM and teach it to Hatergator. Getting an ice move on him this early in the game is genuinely pretty crazy. Well, now that we're done shopping, let's go and do some more things that the city has to offer. It just so happens to be a Tuesday, which means that if we go to the National Park on Route 35, we can do the bug catching contest. The bug catching contest gives us access to a different encounter pool than what the National Park normally has, including some pretty cool Pokemon. Plus, we have the opportunity to win some prizes depending on the Pokemon we catch. I don't really know what goes into how the contest is actually judged. I'm assuming it has to do with like the level of the Pokemon or their stats or whatever, but let's head on in and see what we get. And it's a Metapod. On top of that, it's a level 17 Metapod, which is way beyond its evolution level, so it's already missed out on a lot of really important moves, so it's basically useless to us. Well, maybe we can still win a prize with it. Oh boy, I can't wait. I hope we get first. Okay, they called third place, and it wasn't us. I think we got a chance. Second place also isn't us, and ooh, she had a Metapod. That's promising. I think we might have a winner on our hands here, and the winner is not me. Wow, what a dumb fucking contest. We give a name to our Metapod and move on from this embarrassment. There's an item behind the fence here that I want to get, but I can't seem to find a way to get to it. Seriously, I walked all the way around the park to try to find a gap in the fence to get to it, but there's nothing. Not even a tree to cut or anything. How am I supposed to... oh. How embarrassing. Oh my god, wait, I could have gotten a Nidoran? Why did I even bother with this stupid fucking contest? Well, after that little slip up, it's now time for the moment I'm sure you've all been waiting for. We now have to get ready to take on the third gym leader. But before we get into that, there's one more bit of business to take care of. I head back down to Route 34 to register this girl's phone number. Hold your horses, I'm not trying to rizz her up. She's actually very important to us. You see, if you add her to your phone list, she has a chance to call you and tell you that she's picked up a leaf stone, which we will eventually need to evolve Expensive down the line. This can sometimes take a while based on how lucky or unlucky you are, so the sooner you register her, the better. Alright, now it's time for us to start clearing out the Goldenrod gym leaders. While we're doing that, let's talk about the gym leader herself, Whitney. Whitney has a bit of a reputation among the Pokemon community as a bit of a challenge, and it's pretty well deserved. If you were ever a kid playing through Gen 2 or even the remakes, I'm sure you've had some pretty terrible experiences with trying to beat her. Whitney's Miltank is, by all accounts, a very competently designed Pokemon. Miltank on its own has really good stats for this point in the game. It's bulky, has decent offensive stats, and its move pool is pretty well thought out. It has Stomp as a solid stab move with the potential to flinch, Roll Out to set up a damage combo that can spiral out of control if you don't have a way to contain it, Milk Drink for recovery, and Attract to punish you for bringing any opposite sex Pokemon to the fight. I guess these games aren't as woke as I thought they were. Apparently gay Pokemon aren't a thing. But that's not the only thing you have to worry about. Whitney leads with a Clefairy, which might not sound like a big deal, and most of the time it really isn't. 95% of the time you fight this thing, you breeze right through it. But this Clefairy has Metronome, which randomly becomes a different move every time you use it, and it can quite literally be any move in the game. From Growl to Explosion, if it exists, this Clefairy can randomly pull it out. This makes Clefairy a potential RNG check that will, every blue moon, screw you over and throw a wrench into your plans. Don't believe me? Well, let me bust out a clip from the old lore vault where I went into this fight with the plan of leading with Geodude into Clefairy and setting up my own rollout combo to sweep her team. Volume warning, by the way.
I swear to God, if you fuck me with metronome, I'm calling the run right there. Alright, let's start the rollout combo. Alright, what is it gonna do? What's it gonna do? What?!
I won that fight, by the way. So yeah, Whitney can certainly cause some problems if you walk in ill-prepared. However, if you know what you're doing, and I mean, come on, I definitely know what I'm doing, then Whitney can be beaten pretty consistently. So let's get ready for her. I level up my team to the level cap and get quite a few evolutions from it. Ratman ends up evolving into Raticate, and at the same time, I realize that Ratman has actually been female this whole time. You know what? Fuck it. Ratman is canonically transmasculine. Deal with it. I also end up evolving Kenya into Firo, and Knocked Loose ends up turning into a Noctowl. I also go and retrieve Not Steelix and Sprout from the box, as both of them could be potentially useful against the Miltank if things get dicey and I need an out. I equip the team with some berries, and with all that taken care of, we approach Whitney and prepare ourselves for the first real test of Gen 2. Whitney issues us a quick warning about her reputation before accepting our challenge. Ratman leads the fight and it starts really well. Clefairy misses a double slap turn 1, and we kill it in 2 headbutts before it can do a single metronome. Now comes the Miltank. Ratman ends up being faster than Miltank and gets off a headbutt while Miltank goes for the rollout. Because Ratman is female, Miltank can't use a track to debilitate us, so it can only go on the offensive. We get a good damage roll on the second headbutt, but it's still looking like a 4-shot. Hopefully we can take it out before the rollout gets us. Ooh, that was a close call. And with that, Ratman outspeeds the Miltank one last time and is able to finish off the big bad Miltank. Wow, Ratman, sweeping through Whitney like she was nothing. Maybe if she had respected your preferred pronouns and used a track, she might have stood a chance. After beating her, Whitney throws an absolute piss and shit fit. She refuses to give us the badge until we try to leave, and one of her goons tells us just wait until all the piss and shit is out of her system. We talk to Whitney again and she reluctantly hands over the badge. Fuck you, Whitney. There, I'm sure I just partially healed a few of your inner childs right there. Okay, now it's time for us to continue progressing our journey. I head north to get ready to clear the strange little tree that's blocking Route 37. We find a little girl who is just throwing water on this strange tree and tells us she'll lend us something from her sister. Wait, can't Hatergator just like squirt some water on it or something? I don't know. That just seems like a lot more simpler than gonna have to go all the way back. So we go back down to talk to her big sister. Hey yo, how you doing? And she gives us the squirt bottle. We head back to confront the tree, but before we do, we challenge this psychic guy who ends up having a Kadabra. I don't really have anything to counter it. I might actually be in a bit of trouble here. Oh god, Hatergator took a crit there. Okay. I think my best bet is to switch in Expensive and just stall it out. That ends up working like a total charm. Thank you very much, Expensive. You might have just saved my life there. We sprinkle some water on the tree. It does a little shimmy for us and then attacks us with his wonderful hits. Hatergator doesn't quite get the 2-shot on it with Water Gun, taking it down to the red when it hits me with Flail, a move that does more damage the lower health it is. I straight up thought Hatergator was a goner there, but he somehow managed to live with a decent little bit of health. Hatergator finishes it off, clearing the path, and then at the same moment we get the call from Gina saying she has our Leaf Stone for us. Wow, that was some very apt timing there. It normally takes a lot longer for that to happen. It's gonna be a bit before I use it to evolve Expensive though, but with that we can now move on to Route 37. I don't know about you guys, but I'm hungry, and the only way to satiate my appetite is an encounter. So let's just go right for it. After a brief stroll in the grass, I end up running into a Growlithe, a very exciting encounter. Growlithe is a Pokemon that got a bit of a glow up between Gen 1 and 2 thanks to a much improved move pool. I end up catching it, and after stopping myself from hitting it something very regrettable, I end up landing on the nickname Leica. Oh god, wait, that's just really sad, actually. Well, after catching a Growlithe, it's probably a good idea to go back down to Route 36 and register this guy, Schoolboy Alan, into our phone. He, like Gina before, has the chance to pick up a Firestone, which we will need in order to evolve Leica later on. Okay, now that that's over with, let's move on in Route 37. Wait, how long have we been going for exactly? Oh my god! I just said in the last video I wasn't going to be making long videos like this as frequently. What happened to the time? Well, I guess this is just as good a time as any to stop, so let's put a pin in our journey for now. On the next episode, we're going to be getting into the mid-game of Gen 2. I hope to see you all there. And remember, stay curious. Bye!
Millions of dead cops, license to kill.